Hey guys, it's Timmy, and this is Pro Wrestling Unlimited. We got the news this morning that WWE has partnered with ESPN to air 3 former WrestleManias on the ESPN network. We're getting this weekend WrestleMania 30. The following weekend, we're getting WrestleMania 32. And then the following weekend after that one, which is the same night as the night 2 of WrestleMania, April 5th, we're getting last year's WrestleMania 35, also on ESPN. But there's some interesting things here that you can look at that we wanted to talk about, me and Nick, that is, pronouns pal, that we wanted to talk about as far as what this WWE ESPN relationship could be airing Mania, plus how this could tie into what we heard earlier in the year with what WWE is trying to do with Mania and possibly ESPN Plus. Nick, what do you think?
What's going on, everybody? I'm excited to be talking today. I'm excited to talk about the idea of WrestleMania airing on ESPN because I do think that is fantastic. And I think whether it's pandemic or no pandemic, whether this WrestleMania was going to go on as if nothing was going on and you were still getting your full venue, I think that it should always be on, some kind of cable network television, because when you've got something like the Super Bowl, like, I don't watch a lot of football. I'm not a bit, I know football. I'm aware that it exists. I'm on Twitter. I see tweets. But if it's like a Sunday and I'm scrolling through my TV and it gets to the point where I've rounded every single channel and you land back on channel 2, which is usually channel Fox, and you're like, all right, well, I mean, the Titans are playing the Bills. I guess I'll just watch this. And I feel like that's going to be a lot of WrestleMania experiences for a lot of fucking houses if they were to put that on ESPN, if they were to air this year's Mania live on ESPN. Because I can already picture someone like my brother looking at that Mania, scrolling on the TV and going, all right, nothing's on. Oh, shit. Hey, it's Gronkowski on ESPN. Oh, he's doing WrestleMania. Cool. Whatever. I'll just watch that. And there you go. You're getting a ton of viewers. I just wish that they were able to have, maybe some matches with some good fans and really show, what WWE kind of is, not really this kind of bare bones, fansless version of WWE,
The one question I have here is, as you said, it's a bare bones WrestleMania. Mm-hmm. And is that going to hurt the fan perception, though, when they tune into ESPN, see, like you said, Gronkowski on there and get interested just because they see Gronk and then go, whoa, wait, Gronk, WWE, what is this all about? But then they see a show like we saw last Friday with SmackDown or last Monday with Raw, where it's wrestling in the PC or wherever they're going to do it, because we've heard it's not just going to be from the PC, and there's no crowd, and it's just...
It'll be live from Vince's house.
I don't even know how to say it, but it's just like...
Intimate.
No, not even intimate. I wouldn't even go that far. I would say it's... I don't want to call it boring, because some of the stuff we've seen so far is kind of boring without the crowd, because weird. WWE still shoots it and has the wrestlers wrestle like they're in front of a crowd.
Well, here's the thing, and here's what I want to mention. You say, what is the fan perception going to be like? Well, I think the fan perception is going to be, of course, they're going to be like, this is weird, but I don't think they're going to dog it as this is what the WWE is, because I think the world understands the times that we're in.
But
you know what I mean? I think it's the time, and I know they're going to see, oh, it's wrestling school, but there's no fans, or I can't get invested because I don't know who I should be cheering or rooting for. I'm a new person. I rely on the crowd to tell me who's the good guy and who's the bad guy. But I think at the same time, you can't really you have to go in there and just do these matches as if everyone is watching has watched WWE forever, that they've always watched it. They are fully aware of what's going on.
Right, and my thing is, as we've seen with some of these matches with no crowds, like we saw last week, Cesaro and Daniel Bryan. You think Cesaro and Daniel Bryan, that should be great, amazing. Could have been better, and it might have been better with a crowd. Plus, if it was a normal SmackDown, they would have got longer, but that's beside the point. Anyways, the whole thing is, though, if people are going to see the wrestlers come out here with no reaction and no crowd, and they're just wrestling, and you hear all the bumps and bangs and everything from the match, and they go, I get your point earlier where you're like, well, they can give them a pass because of what's going on right now in the world, but what if some go, okay, I see this, I'll give them a pass, but is it any better when they do have a crowd? Is it any better when they do have people in the audience? Or is this just how they... Let me finish real fast. Because their perception could be, I get that it could be better with a crowd. But what if people think that match looked sloppy? That match looked bad. Is that how all their matches are? Because with no crowd, you're focusing more on the action in the ring and not the reactions that they're getting. So you may pay a little more attention to what they're doing. And if somebody botches something, or if somebody slips up, or if somebody isn't 100%, that's going to show more with a non-crowd show than it would with a normal crowded show.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I completely understand that. But I think it's a hard argument because I think we know for a fact that what people are seeing, like with the Cesaro and Daniel Bryan match, that's a great match that you can tell a non-wrestling fan, oh, just wait till they get a fucking crowd for that match. Like, people are gonna love it. You know what fans are gonna like. So when you see these matches, you're like, they could do really, really good with this Edge and Randy Orton thing, because every motherfucker on the planet knows who Edge and Randy Orton is. They know who they are.
I wouldn't say every motherfucker on the planet.
Dude, there's
anybody
kids
that's watched wrestling. It's
there
not.
Are kids
It's.
I went to school with that didn't watch wrestling but knew what the RKO was. They knew what the spear was.
Well, that's because the RKO became a meme when you were in high school.
Right.
That's different. They don't know that Randy Orton does. Most people don't know that Randy Orton does the RKO. It's just become a meme. But my thing is, like, you don't have that Stone Cold, that even if you're not a wrestling fan, you know who that is. That Hulk Hogan. Yeah, they're bringing in Bill Goldberg, and some people can go, oh, Goldberg, that's that dude from The Longest Yard with Adam Sandler. Ain't he
I don't
like
think anybody's ever said that before.
Ain't he like 60 years old? I don't want to watch this old fogey. And then they go, Roman Reigns. Why have I heard that name before? Oh, wasn't he in that Hobbs and Shaw movie for a hot second?
That movie was cool as shit.
It was all right.
They had the really cool ending scene where the guy I like when the guy slides underneath the truck with the motorcycle. That movie's dumb. It's stupid. I could talk about it for hours about how much I love dumb. I sat in the other day and watched every single Tyler Perry's Medea movie. They're fucking terrible. I love them so much. But, like, I don't know. I guess we have two different standing points on this, because of the way I see it, you're having such great matches. You don't need, like, I get it. There isn't that guy. You know, there isn't that person there that is kind of relatable to, not relatable, but is known by almost every single person in some way or another. And I understand that. But I think with it being on ESPN, if it was to be on ESPN, I should say, because this whole time I thought it was going to air on ESPN, but hasn't been confirmed that it's going to air on there live. But just the previous WrestleManias, they're going to be recapped every week. Not recap, but they're going to show them every, Sunday?
Yeah, for the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, for the next 3 weeks. So that's cool. It gives you something to watch. But I think even if you don't have fans, with this being on ESPN and having the ability for anybody to watch it, if you and you use the Cesaro Bryan match as an example, and I love that you use that as an example, because those are two very good wrestlers. They're great wrestlers. Those two guys are fantastic in the ring together. So even without a fan, you could say, God damn, these two dudes are fucking killing the shit out of each other. They're killing each other. This is cool.
But here's the issue with telling people to go watch that match from last Friday. They got 6 minutes, and at least half of it was during a commercial.
Well, no, I'm not saying go back and watch this match from last Friday. But what I'm saying is, with WrestleMania coming up, if that was to air on ESPN, then you have people saying, hey, you know what? I know who this Edge guy is. The name Randy Orton is familiar. Oh, John, like, everybody knows John Cena. Literally everyone down to, like, kids that are just being born know John Cena.
And I didn't think of it that way. John Cena is the one name that they do have that can correlate to somebody that's never watched wrestling, because John Cena... He's now in Fast and the Furious, so you've seen him in the trailers for the new Fast and the Furious.
He's also just cool. He's a public man.
Yeah, I mean, kids will know him. Kids will know him from hosting the Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards and Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader on Nickelodeon. He did that last Nickelodeon movie, Playing with Fire, that was actually really good. Huh?
Did you watch Smarter Than a Fifth Grader, the reboot?
I saw a couple episodes.
Same theme?
It's the exact same show. It's just John Cena being meathead John Cena instead of redneck Jeff Foxworthy.
That's cool. I like that.
I liked his movie he did with Nickelodeon called Playing with Fire. The one with the guy from Key and Peele, whatever it's called.
There was also Cock Blockers, which my brother really liked. He thought that was a funny movie.
I was going to get to that one. I was talking about stuff that, kids can relate to and go, oh, I like that guy from that movie. But then, like you said, there's Cock Blockers. That's probably, besides the Fast and the Furious, maybe like the most known movie from him so far, like popular wise. And I thought that movie was really funny.
It was pretty.
Most people thought it was kind of corny and cheesy, which I don't think it was supposed to be
point.
serious in any way.
That was the point of the movie.
Right. But John Cena is that one name. I didn't even think about John Cena for some reason.
They do, yeah. John Cena is in that, but I think even you don't need that Stone Cold or The Rock or Hulk Hogan type name, because I think guys like Randy Orton and Edge are going to help this show a lot. And I know that I've been harping on and I know that I've been sticking to their names so much, but then I think about man, all the people that I know personally, I don't have a clue what wrestling is, but back when I was a kid, for some reason, I knew that I hated Edge. I knew that I hated him, him and Orton, because they were bad guys and shit like that. They know how to make this match work. I'm not worried about that match. They know what they're going to need to do to make sure they get a match across, that they know that if there was fans there, they'd enjoy it, and without fans, it would still make sense. And I think that's the match that's going to really help the WWE gather fans that aren't necessarily wrestling fans. But I feel like this could be a topic for a new video. I feel like that's happening way too much. WWE's appealing to their fans from way too long ago, or fans that maybe tuned out back in 20. I'd say the people my brother's age probably dropped off at about 2010 at the Nexus bullshit.
Gotcha. And so that's another way they can kind of get eyes on it is they can throw Roman Reigns on SportsCenter for a week straight or whatever and go, absolutely. Hey, look, it's The Rock's cousin. No. Plus, Roman is a great talker. When Roman is, here's the thing I'm going to say right here. When Roman Reigns is not overly scripted on a Raw or a SmackDown and he just goes and does an interview, he's phenomenal. He does great non-WWE interviews talking about WWE.
Yeah, because he's just again, he is just a guy. Very personable. John Cena, very personable, just in he's a guy. You would enjoy talking. Excuse me. You would enjoy talking to Roman Reigns. I think with WrestleMania, if it was to air on ESPN live for those 2 nights, I think they would do phenomenal. I think it would be talked about pretty well, and that's if the matches perform up to snuff. I know there's a lot of if regarding this, but there's a good chance that they could really do something special and something different in a very good way. In which this is crazy because WWE doesn't do different. There is no different for WWE. Things are the same. And so with this being a possibility and this kind of being something that could happen, if they were to take this and they were to do really good with it, put this on ESPN, have your big names do their big things, let Edge and Orton main event night 2, you're going to have a great WrestleMania, and I think fans are going to love it.
But now here's my last question to you.
What's your last question to me?
We know they're going to put last year's WrestleMania on that Sunday, April 5th. But WrestleMania is April 4th and 5th. So is there a possibility maybe that they only air night 2 on ESPN and not night 1? Because they're also airing last year's Mania on night 2? Because my thinking would be that airing WrestleMania 35 would be like a lead-in. Here's last year's show. Now here's this year's show. Why wouldn't they do a lead-in for the first night as well? Plus, additive to that question, could say they're airing WrestleMania. So they air last year's WrestleMania from MetLife Stadium with 70-something thousand people they had or whatever, maybe 80. I don't remember exactly the real number. But full crowd, big stadium. You watch the whole. So say you didn't watch night 1 at all. You watch the whole thing on Friday, or you watch the last 2 matches or whatever, or on Sunday, and then you go, oh, well, I'll stick around. They say this year's WrestleMania is on next. Well, I liked that. Let me watch what the fuck is this? This is so different and not what I'm expecting. Could watching last year's Mania as a lead-in on ESPN to a live airing of this year's Mania on ESPN hurt fans' perception as well? No, because I don't think you can hurt fans' perceptions right now, because their perceptions are there probably won't be anybody here because of everything that's going on. Their perceptions are going to be high because
Tim, there's not a goddamn thing on television. There's not a fucking thing to watch of entertainment. And if you're telling me that you're watching The Big Bang Theory, I'm putting a gun to my head and I'm dying.
I'm watching Lego Masters on Fox Wednesday nights.
Of course, you're watching Lego Masters on Fox.
Lego Masters is great.
You know, there isn't a lot of...
There's no sports going on.
Well, not only is there no sports, it's like we're in a time where it's interesting to see something live. This is airing live.
Right. And I mean, like you're saying, there's no live sports going on. I mean, I'm just going to say it. Did you hear what NASCAR reverted to because they can't go to tracks?
No, what?
They got 30 or so of their top drivers from all three of their series, and they're going to air live this Sunday on Fox Sports 1 iRacing with the top drivers in NASCAR actually racing from the iRacing sim game on their computers.
It's cool.
At the actual track they were supposed to be at this weekend.
That's cool. Is that going to count?
I don't think so, because it's not all the drivers. It's just whoever was able to do it. But they're getting... Fox is going to air it. Fox is going to have their normal production. However, they do that with a sim racing game. And they're going to have their normal commentators commentating the whole thing as well.
I think that's great. I think that's cool. Again, that's something that's going to do great, because when you look at what you're being offered on television right now and how... Dude, I've been sitting in my room. California has been on lockdown since Tuesday, I think. My city, you've been
on lockdown since the beginning of this week.
Yeah.
Then I got put on lockdown, which I'm in Central California. I got put on lockdown Wednesday, and the entire state got put on lockdown as of midnight last night.
Yeah. So,
but trust me, there's plenty of people on the road still.
Well, yeah, they're like essential businesses.
It's not even just anybody still.
You get people like me that are at home bored as hell.
Right.
Scrolling through that. I think Mania this year, I think they need to just put this on ESPN and give this to TVs and homes. And
now, I did hear
really good show.
I was listening to a couple of different podcasts, one of them being the Kind of Funny podcast, and plus the other two podcasts I was listening to brought up the WrestleMania thing and how they heard that WrestleMania was still going to go on, even though no other sports were going to go on, and that it was going to air from their training facility, but there'd be no crowd. And all three of those podcasts I listened to all said, I may re-sign up for the WWE Network just to see how good or much of a shit show this actually is.
Facts! You can't tell me that you're not interested to see this year's Mania. Whether it's on I don't care if it's on PBS Kids, I'm going to watch it! It's cool.
People are interested to see how WWE runs a show that's supposed to be a huge spectacle with celebrity guests, pyro everywhere, big time entrances, but toned down to the tonest of downs you can. So, I mean, they're getting interest. I think from what I've heard from different people and different podcasts I've listened to that usually don't talk about wrestling, they're actually only interested because it's running from the Performance Center with no crowd. And they go, well, this could be good. This could be bad. I'm kind of interested to see how it actually is.
Mm-hmm.
One last thing. I said that was my last question. I have one more for you. Do you think, so the rumor is everything's going to be pre-taped for Mania? Most likely. Yes. Like all the matches will be pre-taped, not aired live. Do you think that would make a difference? I don't think it will with the circumstances. Because A, you're not going to get many, if any, spoilers out there. And
it could be already done. The matches could be done.
No, they're not going to start filming till next week. They're going to do tonight's SmackDown live and then start filming everything else either starting this weekend or next week.
But I feel like there's a couple Mania matches that you probably could have just filmed after Raw this week.
But they didn't come up with that plan. They didn't. Here's the thing. They didn't even know they were doing 2 nights until they announced it, basically. Because if you watch this week's NXT, they kept referencing WrestleMania April 5th because they filmed everything for NXT Tuesday, which was the day before they made the announcement and before they even had the idea of let's split it between 2 days.
Right.
So they didn't even know the 2-day thing or they're going to pre-tape anything until Wednesday, Thursday, if not Thursday. But, I mean, we'll see. It should be interesting. WWE has put some hints out there. that maybe this can be on ESPN. ESPN did report the following. I'll read this as we wrap things up. They stated, ESPN will air an encore presentation of WrestleMania 30 on Sunday, March 22nd at 7 p.m. Eastern. This will be the first of 3 WrestleManias that will be aired on ESPN, all leading up to WrestleMania 36, which will take place over 2 nights, April 4th and April 5th. They then got a quote from Stephanie McMahon, and I quote, "It is a privilege for us to deliver historic WrestleMania content to our world-class partners at ESPN and provide more premium programming to our fans, putting smiles on their faces, particularly during this trying time. We look forward to celebrating WrestleMania's history with ESPN as we head into our 2-night pop culture extravaganza on April 4th and 5th. Now, the thing is that there were rumors and reports that WWE was in talks with ESPN to actually stream WrestleMania this year on ESPN+. So now the question is this plan to show 3 WrestleManias a prior plan they already had in place a while ago because they've been talking? Or is this something where ESPN reached out and said, hey, can we get some content? That's the other thing I look at. Is this a new discussion and something that was just put together this week? Or is this something that they've actually been talking about for a couple months now?
I'm sure it's been something that they've discussed for longer than a month.
Right.
I'm sure the idea of bringing WrestleMania to outside, because I feel like we've been hearing this for a while, that WWE and Vince McMahon have wanted to move WrestleMania from that network to some kind of streaming service. So I think this has been something that's been discussed, and I think this is maybe the trial run of how it would work if we were to move WrestleMania from our network to a different streaming service, how this would do to maybe a cable television, network television, how those kinds of things would work. So maybe with them being on ESPN, or maybe airing past WrestleManias the next 3 weeks on ESPN, maybe that could be a way of them seeing how it would be, what views would be like, and see if there's a gain or anything like that within viewership compared to on the network. Because I think if they are behind a paywall for $9.99, they're only going to get people that already have it. No one's going to sign. You'll get, like, yes, you will get a few people signing up for WrestleMania this year. Of course you will, but I don't think that you would see as many people watching Mania as you would if it was on ESPN this year.
Right. And the first time Vince actually publicly said, we're going to talk about possibly putting Mania on another streaming service, was when they did the earnings report, I want to say February 6th-ish, something like that. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. And that was the first time Vince said, we're going to talk to the majors, which he meant big-time streaming services, and said that we hope to have a deal to announce before the end of Q1, which is the end of March. Obviously, those discussions did not go over well. According to Dave Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer last week, I want to say, the WWE was asking for too much money. Big numbers that they wanted as far as getting the rights to WrestleMania and to stream it, because basically they probably saw what ESPN got, or UFC got from ESPN, and said, we want that, but are only willing to give up WrestleMania. And so I don't know if Vince can get as much money as he wants.
I wouldn't mind seeing both a Mania and a SummerSlam on ESPN, or maybe if your big four are on ESPN.
That's what I thought they should have always done, was either move Rumble. See, my thought with the network was always Rumble and Mania stay on pay-per-view, not be on the WWE network. I know people are going to hate me for saying that.
That's fair.
Because those are your biggest events of the year.
But would they be available directly after on the network once the pay-per-view is aired?
You'd have to wait a month. Most pay-per-view providers or television providers ask you to wait 1 month. Like with Raw and SmackDown, they could not put the new episode, like this week's Raw cannot go on the network for 30 days.
Yeah, but it can go on like Hulu in a week.
Because they have a deal that goes to Hulu the next day, because they have a television deal with Hulu where Hulu is paying them to give them a 90-minute version of the show the next day, which is the next day. It's still not the full show, and it's still not live.
But it's even better than the full show. It's 90 minutes. It's everything you want.
Yes and no, because I have been told by some people that they heard of a segment that was really good, and it actually was taken out of the Hulu version from Raw. I think it was back in January. I was told this.
That's unfortunate. That's unfair.
But we'll see how it all does go. We'll see if this is leading to maybe WWE on ESPN, or maybe we're just talking out of our asses and it's just the 3 former Manias that they're going to air on ESPN. But we'll know more over the next couple of months, or weeks, I mean. WrestleMania is 2 weeks from this Sunday. Rob Gronkowski is going to be on SmackDown, tonight to talk about his hosting WrestleMania and maybe give more details. So we'll see, because the only thing they have for tonight's SmackDown is Gronk, and you may see SmackDown before watching this video, but all they got for tonight's SmackDown announced so far at the time of this recording is Gronk and the contract signing between Goldberg and Roman.
Good Lord. Lots
yeah,
of
most of you will
stuff.
probably have already seen SmackDown by the time you watch this video.
Yeah. Thank you guys very much for tuning into this little discussion video. Was happy to get to talk to you guys today. What do you think about the possibility of WrestleMania being on ESPN or any kind of cable provider? What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments below. We appreciate you guys so much. I'm going to make Tim do editing. You can follow me on Twitter here. He's going to have to put my Twitter handle up on the screen. He has to do work. Enjoy. Thank you guys very much.